Number 10.
たった一つたった一つのたった一人たった一人の私はここ
The Ancient Magnus Bride. The first thing that I want to say is that this anime is magical. But unlike with Little Witch Academia's fun and silly magic, sort of like a cute version of Harry Potter, the Ancient Magnus Bride's magic leans more into the mystical side, and the mysterious side as well. This was one of the few cases where I've read the manga before seeing the anime, so it was great to watch these characters and stories that I love in beautiful animation. And yes, I do think that the characters are the best part of this anime. The anime's first half, just like in the manga, takes its time introducing its characters and letting them settle into their roles. That's why when serious plot starts to happen, and their conflict, it's very engaging because you've gotten time to love these characters and the way they interact with each other. Though because of this, lots of people didn't like how it took a little bit to get really going because of the anime's slow pace and this format that I mentioned before. So in the end, I don't mind it that much. And besides, the second half of the anime is going to have a lot of plot going for it, so just you wait. That isn't to say that there isn't any plot in the first half, because when our villain shows up, the show turns into a whole other thing. From his childlike personality and appearance, to his savage nature and decaying body, to the performance of Josh Grail, since I watched the simuldub, this villain is going down as one of my favorites. He is a truly threatening villain, and I can't wait to see more of him in the second half. I also really like the show's animation and choice of insert songs. It helps the anime create a magical atmosphere that really makes you fall in love with this world and want to know more about it. With all these things combined, The Ancient Magnus Bride is an enchanting anime that will be great to watch the rest of in 2018. Number 9.
一つ一つしてゆくの
Konohana Kitan. Talk about an anime that I did not expect loving so much. Upon watching the first episode, I thought that it was just a basic moe slice of life show featuring cute fox girls and lots of queer baiting. But by episode 3, not only was I completely taken aback at how surprisingly poignant the storytelling can be, but how it became the emotional highlight of the fall season. A season that featured the best arc of March Comes In Like a Lion so far, which I'll talk about later. The animation can be very stunning, and when mixed with the excellent music and engrossing atmosphere, it can set you in a mood that you did not expect to experience at all. As the anime goes on, the characters really grow on you and you enjoy seeing their interactions together. The comedy works well because of how enjoyable these characters are and how they work off of each other. The new characters that are introduced as the anime progresses are great as well. And the one-off characters that visit the inn offer some great stories concerning the Japanese mythology and traditions atypical to this kind of genre. Also, the world that our fox girls inhabit becomes revealed after each episode, and it actually becomes pretty fascinating. My favorite part of Konohana Kitan was, of course, the Yuri couples. While none of them go all the way, I mean this is anime we're talking about, it does go far enough sometimes to make it very explicit, most notably with Ren and Natsumi, and sometimes with Yuzu and Satsuki. This is the type of episodic anime that I just want more and more episodes of. I want to meet more guests and learn their stories while also seeing the girls grow closer together. So I'll be crossing my fingers for a season 2. If not, then this single season was a great surprise that left me very satisfied. Number 8. Recreators. Ever since Sword Art Online, the genre of some random Joe getting trapped in a fantasy-like world, usually with gaming, has been done to death. Recreators flips this overused concept on its heels by having a Sword Art Online-like character get trapped in our world. And not only that, but anime and video game characters from other genres as well, like a kid from a mecha series like Neon Genesis Evangelion, a young girl from a Magical Girl series like Cloudcaptor Sakura, or even a knight from a dark medieval series like Berserk, and many more. These characters come together to fight each other and against a badass villain. If there's an idea that you come up with in the beginning episodes, chances are that the anime is aware of this idea and will use it later in the show. There is a smart script at work here with many different ideas coming together and making a complex and multi-layered story. For example, the creations get to meet their creators, for better or for worse. What does a magical girl's powers look like in the real world? Though the greatest idea brought to the table is the concept of audience acceptance. I won't say anything else about it because the reveal is just too perfect. The animation is great and the fight scenes, while not the main focus, are pretty spectacular. Getting to see all these characters with different and diverse powers was just so fun to watch. Speaking of which, the characters are a lot of fun. Whether it's the creators or the creations, this is a pretty great cast of characters with some pretty good female characters, with Alisteria being my favorite. Also, as mentioned before, this show has an awesome villain, not just because of her design or her powers, but because of her backstory and motivations. I won't spoil it, of course, but I'll just say that it's a good commentary on both the positives and negatives of online fandoms. It was very clever in my opinion, and that's the perfect way to describe recreators. Clever. It takes an idea and fucking rolls with it, never decreasing in quality at any moment. And look, if your recap episode is really enjoyable, then you're going down the right path to be pretty freaking memorable. Number 7. March comes in like a lion. This will probably be the most underrated anime of the year, and you can quote me on that. I'm surprised no one was talking about this anime during the previous fall and this year winter season, but this anime is pretty extraordinary. It looks at the depressed state of our main character Rei in his isolation after his parents' and young sister's death and living the abuse of his adoptive family. He struggles with his sense of isolation, his shogi competitions, and his complex relationship with his older stepsister. All of this is sprinkled in around fun and interesting characters. 3 of these characters were the 3 sisters that Rei meets and spends a lot of time with. They become his emotional support, and their scenes were always a light-hearted break from the show's depressing moments. Though I have to say that my favorite character was Kyoko, Rei's older stepsister. Her character is super complex and interesting, and every scene that she was in was a highlight for me. Her feelings of needing, anger, selflessness, and even attraction to Rei brought a lot of good scenes that I enjoyed analyzing, especially in her debut episode in episode 7. Studio Shaft did the animation for this show, and you can see their style everywhere, including head tilts and long hair flipping in the wind, much like in their popular show Madoka Magica. And while some can get tired of this style easily, I quite enjoyed it. There are many times I found myself relating to our little Rei and the dilemmas that he goes through in the anime, like how one episode centers around the idea of finding a place that you want to go to get away from everything and relax. Season 2 is currently airing and I am enjoying every second of it, and Season 1 was a great introduction to this interesting and thought-provoking show. Number 6. Showa Ginroko Rakugo Shinju Season 2. It's sometimes hard for a second season to be equal to its first, especially as amazing as the first season that this show was. But this second season did just that. Despite a period change and a focus on different and new characters, the second season still captures the tone and energy of the first one, with this one being set in a more modern day, the 60s to 80s to be more exact. If the first season was backstory, then the second season follows up on it and it follows the next generation. Konatsu and Yota's journey in the anime was the best part to watch, and I really enjoyed watching these two characters. Their romance is a bit more unique than most, and you can slowly see their growing attraction to each other. They get married legally to help Konatsu out with her child, but do eventually start to fall in love with each other. Though these two are the clear highlights, the anime still centers around Yakumo, just like in the first season. His growing urges to kill himself and a lover's suicide with Rakugo itself was very sad to watch, but the complexity with it makes it intriguing. The other supporting characters unfortunately weren't as memorable as the main characters, and I often got confused by their stories at times. It's a minor gripe, but a gripe nonetheless. Once again, the rakugo performances themselves are very enjoyable to watch, and the voice actors do a good job with doing the rakugo performances. It's an anime that is chock full of culture, and an anime like this is really hard to come by nowadays. It's a masterpiece with only a few flaws that don't hurt it at all. It was a perfect closing gap to the last season, and it's one that I'll remember forever.